Most post-game interviews sound the same, polite, cliché answers with little excitement. But sometimes, someone says something that really sparks a reaction. That's exactly what happened recently with the Indiana Fever. A comment from the team president caused a huge backlash online, leading her to deactivate her social media. But the viral clip wasn't even the most important part of what she said. For Fever fans, the bigger concern is what else came out during that press conference. Going into the 2025 season, excitement was at an all-time high. New management, a new coach, and a strong free agency class raised hopes. Their marketing slogan, "Now you know," promised this was their year. And with Caitlin Clark, one of the biggest names in women's sports, expectations were sky high. This wasn't a rebuilding year. It was a title run. They started strong with a big win over Chicago, but then things went off track. Clark missed many games with injuries. Veteran Dana Bonner left after only 9 games. The team's performance became unpredictable. Some wins against top teams, but losses to weaker opponents like the Sparks. Clark has mostly been used off the ball, a role that doesn't fit her style and that she's openly questioned. So despite the promises, the Fever sit around a .500 record halfway through the season, and their star isn't being used properly. Fans are understandably upset. Criticism isn't just for the coach, it's aimed at the GM and especially the president, Kelly Krasko. When she took over in 2024 after years with the Pacers, fans hoped she'd build the right team around Clark. Instead, disappointment set in. Then the controversial clip came out, and the internet exploded.
Yes, we have a foundational player in Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston, and we're going to continue to add to that. But I want this team to be the leader in the country, and a brand, an enduring brand, like Apple or something.
The backlash was immediate, and for good reason. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player for the Indiana Fever. She is the Fever. Since she joined the WNBA, the team's value has jumped by 273%, now worth $335 million, third highest in the league. Attendance went from just over 4,000 fans per game in 2023 to more than 17,000 now, a 318% increase. Clark's impact stretches beyond Indiana. ESPN's WNBA viewership grew 170%, with her games driving almost half of the league's broadcast value. Teams moved games to NBA arenas mainly when Clark was playing. Merch sales and ticket prices soared, helping raise the value of nearly every WNBA franchise. The whole league is now worth $3.5 billion. And much of that is thanks to Clark. So when Fever president Kelly Krasko compared building the team to creating the Apple of the WNBA, fans knew exactly what she meant. Caitlin Clark isn't just one product, she is the iPhone, MacBook, and Apple Watch all in one. But here's the problem. The team hasn't treated her like that. This season, Coach Stephanie White runs a motion offense that often keeps the ball away from Clark, even though she said she's at her best leading the offense herself. That's more than just a coaching mistake. It frustrates fans. With a player as special as Clark, you don't bench her creativity in favor of a rigid system. The result has been a sluggish offense and inconsistent performances. If Clark had the freedom to play her game, Krasko's comments wouldn't have caused such a backlash. But after watching the team struggle and Clark's talent questioned by many, the president's words felt like a slap in the face. The clip that sparked this outrage? It's from 2024, not even this season. At the time, Krasko seemed confident and optimistic, and fans praised her leadership. But knowing what we know now, her words take on a different meaning and raise serious questions for Fever fans.
I see so many similarities in Caitlin and Tyrese, primarily because they control the tempo of the game. and we want to play almost identical to the way the Pacers are playing, or maybe they want to play like we're playing. But either way, it's, finding those right fits around a point guard like her is going to make us awfully dangerous.
What Kelly described back then, it was exactly what Fever fans had been hoping to hear: an up-tempo, high energy offense built around Caitlin Clark, with the ball in her hands, running the show, setting the pace, creating for everyone. That is the essence of Caitlin Clark basketball. And just to remove any doubt about what she meant, Kelly even emphasized how Caitlin's style of play was a major draw for free agents looking to join the team.
I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her. She, much like Tyrese Halliburton, she gets you the ball in places that you didn't even know you were open.
Which brings us to the obvious question: what went wrong? Because the vision that was pitched, a fast-paced, fluid offense centered around Caitlin Clark, is a far cry from what we've actually seen on the court. In fact, it's not even in the same ballpark. And that disconnect has been driving both fans and analysts absolutely crazy.
And how much grace are we going to give to a coach because the coach says, we're working things out for the rest of the season, we're trying to figure out our identity? Do you want to know what your identity is? You shouldn't need to figure out your identity. You have Caitlin effing Clark on your team.
And it's not just the style of play that's off. The roster decisions raise questions too. Remember, Kelly didn't just talk about building a system around Caitlin Clark. She specifically said that Caitlin's presence would attract the right players, that top talent would want to join her, and that the team would build smartly around her unique strengths. But when you look at who actually joined the team, it tells a different story. Dana Bonner, the veteran expected to bring leadership and stability, she was out after just 9 games, reportedly due to chemistry issues. Then there's Natasha Howard. She hasn't been terrible by any means, but it's clear she's still figuring out how to play alongside Caitlin. And honestly, why is she frequently bringing the ball up the court and ignoring Clark on possessions? She once said she had MVP aspirations, and after revisiting this clip, it's hard not to wonder what kind of role she thought she'd be playing when she signed.
More than anything, we want to continue to be exactly what they are: a fun, fast-paced, up-tempo style of play.
And this is where things start to get really murky. With the entire league watching and free agents reportedly lining up, giving the Fever all the leverage, the front office, led by President Kelly Krasko and GM Amber Cox, brought in players who either don't fit the system or don't complement Caitlin Clark's game. So it begs the question, what was the actual plan here? What kind of pitch was made to these players? What version of basketball was being sold behind closed doors? Because whatever it was, it sure doesn't look like the Caitlin Clark-led offense fans were promised. And that leads us to what many Fever supporters now consider the most troubling part of the puzzle: head coach Stephanie White. If the entire organizational vision was about building around Clark, wouldn't you expect the coach to reflect that strategy? Someone ready to tap into her full potential? Someone who'd construct an offense tailored to her strengths? So I went back and watched Stephanie White's introductory press conference, and honestly, it's not going to sit well with Fever fans, because looking at what's unfolded, it's hard not to feel like they were sold one thing and delivered something entirely different.
Steph has talked about kind of taking some pressure off you with Ari kind of running point in some actions and you playing off the ball. Just how do you think that will help when you reintegrate on?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be nice probably not to have to bring the ball up against pressure 94 feet. But like I said, that's what I'm best at. So we're still going to do a lot of that.
So let me get this straight. Kelly talks about modeling the Fever after the Pacers, fast-paced, modern, and built around Caitlin Clark. Meanwhile, Stephanie White says they're sticking with what worked in 2024. On the surface, it all sounded amazing. Everyone appeared to be on the same page. The messaging was clear. The vision was exciting. They sold fans on the idea of Caitlin Clark basketball, a system custom designed for a once-in-a-generation talent. And to be fair, even Caitlin seemed fully on board at the start. She backed her new coach, supported her teammates, and bought into the vision. But now, even she looks frustrated, and honestly, it's hard to blame her.
When you see the Mavs just play differently without Luka on the floor, he's a guy who's high usage rate, the ball's in his hands. When he's not on the floor, that ball is moving, it's popping, multiple players getting involved in action, and everyone's stepping up.
This is what it looks like when a player disagrees with their coach, and it's playing out in public. Caitlin's message is clear. I get where you're coming from, but I need the ball. It's not just the fans noticing this tension. There's genuine concern that Stephanie White either doesn't fully trust Caitlin to lead the offense or simply prefers a different style of play altogether. And when you hear how Stephanie spoke about Luka Doncic during a Mavericks broadcast, that concern starts to feel a lot more real.